the literal magic is happening the days in between your workout.
And I think a lot of people don't even realize that they're in that cycle.
Yeah.
So you don't really know what you're missing out until you try something different.
The biggest red flag, so to speak, is not seeing results.
Yeah.
You're not getting results anymore. Hopefully nobody tuned out before that very last important thing.
Yeah, that was like pretty important.
Welcome to the Lift Heavy, Swing Fast podcast.
That's 2 in a row. That's great. You haven't mixed them up, our old name and our new name. So
It's like I have to really consciously think about it. And it's also kind of a tongue twister.
Is it? I think it rhymes easy.
Say it fast.
Lift Heavy Swing Fast podcast.
Oh, say it again.
No, because I got it right that time. I don't.
2 in a row. It's hard.
No, we're live right now. I don't want to take the chance.
We're live. We can't edit. We're not really live. I don't think that's a thing. Live is when you're literally speaking to the public in real time.
Oh, well, we don't edit these, so I'm treating it as live, and I didn't want to. I got it right once. I don't need to do it again.
Okay, we're live.
It's like in golf. Like if you hit a good shot, like why do I need to practice another one? You know, it's like, okay, I'm good. I got it.
That's why I don't practice. You just go out and play.
Well, it's like not when you're practicing, more like when you're playing by yourself and, you know, you hit 2 balls or 3 balls because, you know, maybe our viewers don't play often by themselves, but I do. And so if you are out there on a busy course, you have to play like 2 or 3 balls because you just end up waiting forever. So sometimes you hit a really good one. You're like, I'm not going to hit another one from here. I'm going to go hit another one somewhere else.
That's fair. That's fair. I get that. Anyway, squat's a lot more docile today. Demure.
If we have new listeners, our squat is our 5-year-old, like 17-pound now, miniature dachshund. I get used to saying like 12 or 14, but he's like 17 now. So
I don't even call him a mini. He's just a dachshund.
Yeah.
I mean, he's literally beyond my whole lap.
Yeah.
He's sitting on.
He's like 3 feet long from like snout to tail.
Yeah.
He's long boy.
Yeah, he's long mama's boy.
Yeah, he's our baby. But let's go ahead and introduce today's topic. It's going to be off season.
Off season,
because this is coming out. We are recording this in December. It'll be coming out in January, and it'll be very much the off season for most golfers.
Yeah, we're in the off season for most golfers. We've sold quite a few off season programs, so you can tell when people are buying a certain thing, like what's happening around because obviously seasons are different throughout the world, but it's the off season. It's very much January. January is very much an off season for the most part, like you said. So. Yeah.
And I wanted to do this topic because it comes up all the time. People that are snowbirds, you know, that don't have an off season. They live in South Florida. We used to live there. So technically you don't have an off season. You can play golf year round whenever you want. But that's why I think this is a very important topic to discuss why you should still do an off season type training program, even if you don't have an quote unquote off season at all.
Yeah. I mean, periodization. If you haven't heard of that, it's, you know, we can't be doing the same workout 365 days a year. We certainly want to have consistency in our workouts, and that's kind of like a totally different topic, but having cycles of 4 to 6 to 8 weeks is important in terms of like stimulus for your body, which I feel like we're going to talk about a lot today.
Absolutely. And like, who wants to do the same thing all the time?
Totally. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, and speaking of consistency, like sticking with a program is a lot easier when you're keeping things fresh and changing things up.
And when you and I first met, we were doing like Mark Ripeto's 5x5s, and we did that for a long time and how long did we do that for? Like a year straight of doing like 5x5s?
Yeah. I mean, but for me as a new lifter at the time, new to like lifting heavy, I mean, I felt like, you know, that year for me was like really beneficial. I mean, cause honestly, if you can speak to this differently cause you weren't new, but for me, I was brand new to like lifting heavy. And so like form and all of that stuff too, like takes a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. So you're not like, you can't go like extremely heavy. And again, I'm not a power lifter, but I mean like, you know, especially as a female, take your time, like kind of getting the movement right and getting that down before you're like confident enough to like then add the weight. So like that part was just like, you know, taking a year makes sense. And that's what we say to our foundations beginner people too, by the way, though, is like, it's okay to kind of be in the basics for like a really long time. And that means truly like it can take a year for you to like really get into a groove. If you're brand new, like you have to give yourself that time.
Mm-hmm. But also like my kind of point about that was like you and I are like hardcore fitness people. I think we even were more so then. And, you know, it takes a different type of mentality to just do the same thing over and over and over again. So most people just straight up don't want to do that.
We also lifted twice a week, though. We weren't like, you know, I feel like, I mean, It's so all relative. Like when you're talking about volume of workouts too. And again, yes, we could talk about how much we worked out back then, the different types of things that we did. But just from a lifting perspective, I mean, we did push pull twice a week. We lifted heavy twice a week. Versus,
Actually, we did it every 5 days.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But we, so would you say that's a 10-day cycle? Is that what you mean? Or did we do push pull within 5 days?
Well, I just think when people, when you say when it's like twice a week, people think like, oh, you just did it on like Monday and Tuesday. But it's like we did it on Monday and Tuesday, and then like we'd give ourselves a couple rest days, and then we'd do it again like on like Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. So I mean, again, like we put a good amount of recovery in between, and not every week was necessarily linearly adding weight. We tried, and we did for the most part, but
bought those fractionals. We bought those plates that weigh like a quarter of a pound. No, they're fractionals. They're a quarter of a pound. Well, there's some. We got one.
We got half a pound. Like
we got a quarter pound, a half a pound.
Yeah.
I think we got a 1 1/4 pounder.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that made a big difference because I couldn't. Sometimes you can't go up.
I like throwing those to people like in the gym. I'm like, here, and I throw them the little quarter pound weight, and they kind of freak out. They're like,
oh, I mean, hey, like when you're doing like especially upper body and shit for me, like fuck that. I'm not going up with any sort of normal plates, especially like week after week. But anyway, a little bit of a tangent, I guess, but all important stuff and context matters. I mean, but yes, off season periodization important.
Absolutely. And I was kind of wanting to just kind of give a little bit of background on people that do, the same thing all the time. But golfers don't need to because we have an off season and an in season. Yes. Even if you don't play, even if you don't necessarily have quote unquote an off season.
Yes.
So, and what I think is interesting about that and why I kind of wanted to do that little tangent we went on is that a lot of people that join a golf fitness program have done some, and I don't know the stats on this, but I think they've come from some other type of training program. Whether that be bodybuilding, most likely, because I still think bodybuilding is probably like the number one workout split that people do, the chest day, back day, arm day, leg day. And some people maybe come from like a CrossFit or an Orange Theory or group fitness classes or something like that have no type of season, right? Like unless you're like truly a competitive CrossFitter or bodybuilder where you're like prepping for an event or you're, getting your body ready for a show, like you taper down and whatever they do. So like they're always questioning like, hey, I don't have an off season, but here I am coming from something that didn't have any type of season at all and like questioning why we do an off season. But so I always think that's kind of interesting because those don't have any type of, seasons necessarily. And then when you join an off season program, people think that like all of a sudden, oh, I can't play golf because it says off season. Like for some magic thing happens when the program is called off season. That means I can't play golf anymore. So I always find that pretty interesting. And I kind of want to just kind of talk about, when you come from a different type of training, you probably got sore. Like especially if you did CrossFit, you did tons of volume. If you came from bodybuilding, you got really sore. And if you start doing an athletic training program like ours, that's total body, the soreness and fatigue is nowhere even close to like what those type of programs do to you.
I mean, yes, I can officially like speak to that for sure.
Yeah.
I got into like, I don't know if you would call it bodybuilding. I still don't really identify with that. But like just as far as like what I was saying about volume, because I learned real quick that like lifting 5 days a week for me is not, it just doesn't feel good. Like it just doesn't, it's too much. I feel like even if like the volume is managed or if I, back off weights or whatever, like for me, like feeling sore every day, it's too much. And again, for me, it's coming from a background of being able to do like more endurance type training is a lot different and something that you can do from like a volume perspective because it's like the point of endurance work. But when you're doing it for like strength or hypertrophy, like it's definitely diminishing returns. And then like the soreness makes you kind of sleep shitty. And so and again, I'm not speaking for everybody, but despite having like a solid hormone profile, like knowing that stuff is in check, prioritizing sleep, eating right, like, and still feeling like kind of shitty doing like too much, like beyond like 3 days a week of heavy lifting. So again, like I still feel like back to our Mark Rubitot days of like doing that like 2 day a week or at least splitting it up between like 3 or 4 days of rest in between is like my personal sweet spot in that regard.
And I think a lot of people don't even realize that they're in that cycle.
Yeah.
If you've been doing it for a long time, like if you've been training 5-6 days a week, you've been going to these classes, you're doing, a bodybuilding split every single day where you've got that, soreness and fatigue every single day, you just get used to it, right? You get used
Totally.
to our bodies as a
Yes.
human, we get used to all sorts of stuff, for good or for better or for worse, right? And so you don't really know what you're missing out until you try something different. And I think that's what people really need to think about is, hey, if I did this crazy, 5-6 days a week, like CrossFit program, and I do your off-season program, I guarantee your body's going to feel so much fresher doing a full body training program the way I've put it in there than you did doing your other types of programs that just beat you to death, and you were this low level fatigue every single day of your life. And you just don't know until you try it.
No, you really don't. And I think like the signs are not what we would expect. And so what I mean by that is like, I mean, there's so many things in life where the answer is like work harder and do more to get like the result, which like most things do truly work that way. You're digging a hole, like just try harder, do more. You will go deeper. But like with working out, it's like that's not it. That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
Diminishing returns, what we were kind of just talking about. But I think for people that are like, what are the signs, to your point of like, I'm used to it every day. I'm used to the fatigue. I'm used to feeling sore. Like they don't really know what normal is. It's like the people that haven't gone to the eye doctor yet and they don't know what it's like to like see well.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know until you try something else. But like a lot of times, like the biggest red flag, so to speak, is not seeing results.
Yeah.
You're not getting results anymore. I know so many people that, you can basically doing anything for 2 to 3 weeks. You're going to like something new for 2 to 3 weeks. You're going to feel different. So everybody's always, oh, but when I do cardio, and I'm like, okay, well, how long does that last? When you start going to the gym and doing your 45 minutes of cardio, like after truly a couple weeks, your body adapts and like literally nothing the fuck happens after that. So It's like trying that new thing and backing off the volume, doing a program that's like been different from what you're used to. The sign that you need to be paying attention to the most is your lack of results of working so hard in the gym month after month, year after year for people, and not seeing any changes in their bodies, or seeing like bad change, or going like literally in reverse, like you're working so hard and you're like not, and your like body is almost like regressing.
Right.
That's not good.
And we've seen this. We did group fitness coaching. I've done personal training. I've seen people I used to go to the gym every single day of my life because I worked there, not because I was working out. And you see the same people you see some people coming there every single day.
Yes.
And that it's just like there's no way you are able to get maximum results by just doing something every day. You've got to focus on, because your intensity's low, because you just simply cannot have like high intensity every single day. Like there's just no possible way. Like even professional athletes don't do stuff like that, right?
Right.
And then you're not hitting intensity, and then you're also not recovering. And then a lot of people miss out, and this is like a totally different topic, but it's nutrition too. So
totally. I mean, that's another one, is like the intensity piece is like, I didn't realize it until starting to lift heavier, was like how much better it felt to go 1 to 2 days between working out and like being so rested, fueled up, and like being able to crush a workout felt tremendously different than like even back-to-back days. Even if I'm doing like an upper and lower, like systemically my body is tired no matter what. So like, yeah, my legs might be fresh if I did upper body, but it's like your whole body is kind of giving those couple days in between is like a total game changer.
Yep.
And I think we forget, and we know this as fitness professionals, but your body's adapting on the days off. Like we like literally have to remember that. And I don't know why that isn't like blasted like more out loud for people. And your body is not adapting as it's being beat to shit. Like the literal magic is happening the days in between your workouts, like when you're done and recovering, and you're like building those quote unquote calluses, like on your muscle. I like to call them like muscle calluses. Your body is like rebuilding and coming back stronger. Like it's happening when you're literally asleep.
Yeah.
Like we don't talk about that enough. I feel like that's like, we need to understand that. It's so much better when you understand that, you just lean into it better.
Well, you don't get big and strong from lifting weights. You get big and strong from recovering from lifting weights.
That's to our point where if you're doing that every day, you're never giving your body, it's like picking a scab and not letting it heal. You're literally never letting it heal up. So, end rant for me. I guess you can go into like more of the, off season specific and kind of how we like to program, but all this context is very important. And there are seasons, by the way, like if we are in like high volume season, typically that's like a short season or whatever, but I'm cool with like people kind of crushing it for a few weeks a year where you kind of like burn up your engines a little bit and like push your body. I think that's actually a healthy thing to do, but it's like a very short part of your whole, like literally looking at a year, like you're crushing for a couple weeks during the year, or you have a competition season or something to that effect or whatever. But it's not something that you should be doing every single week for the whole year.
So that is a good topic to lead into kind of the differences in season, off season, and the way I program, I put in 5 workouts a week, but one is a mobility workout and zone 2 cardio. So like, let's not call that like very high intense. Like that's not, intense at all. We have 3 main workouts. There's either a rest day before or after. And then Saturday is typically like a conditioning type workout. So again, like we're just kind of strategically putting in the volume, and most people don't even do all the workouts that I program. But the main difference between in season and off season is like volume, right? Like there is more like reps and sets like in an off season program. So we are like going to get more fatigued, but thanks to my man Jason Brown, who does a lot of program reviews out there, it still hails in comparison to what a lot of the other popular programs out there are putting in. Like I don't even come close to the amount of volume that some of these other things are putting in. And if you're doing like a bodybuilding or CrossFit, like I'm not trying to shit on those. Like if those work well for you, so be it. If you haven't tried anything different, I encourage you to do so. But still, volume is much lower. But in the off season, the volume is higher than it is in season. We are taking the exercises, the sets, like closer to failure, because that does get you more fatigued. That'll draw out a little more of the soreness, but it has a lot of benefits too, right? And just in season, we typically stay away from that to be a little bit fresher, right? So again, it doesn't mean that you cannot go play golf, right? You're going to have a little bit of soreness when you start like the first week of a new cycle or something like that, and the exercises are new, the rep schemes are new, whether you're doing like a rest pause set or a drop set, whatever it is, like, yeah, that might get you a little sore for, the first week or 2 of you doing that cycle, but you'll adapt to it as it goes on. And as long as you manage your recovery, because like I said, like I still put in tons of rest days and chances to recover, you will still be able to go play golf. And I think that's what people kind of worry about. But again, it's going to be just fine. So that is probably the biggest difference, because the exercises don't change a whole lot. We're still going to do, your compound lifts. It's still squats, presses, pulls, deadlifts, rotations. Like that doesn't change a whole lot. We just do it'll be a little more of a tiring workout, get closer to that failure point, and just be slightly more fatiguing.
Yeah. Because you've got that little bit of energy left in the tank.
Yeah.
And the way that translates into the in season, it's important to think about in season with respect to off season, is that when you start to back off that extra volume, that little bit of extra energy that's like pent up in your body is like ready to go for your sport.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like that's how the body works. You're adapted to like that, expending X amount of energy and putting X amount of power, and then boom, now you've got it like locked and loaded for when you're playing.
Absolutely. You build your capacity.
Capacity.
I love the word capacity.
Sorry, I didn't know if that was what term to use.
That's what I'm going to use. I don't know if it's right or not, but this is our show. I can say whatever.
But it's like, I think you just think about it like a battery, like,
yeah.
and that's like when you're tapering for a marathon or whatever. You've trained and trained and trained, and then you have to like kind of be all pent up for 2 weeks, and your body is kind of like, but then you're like ready to go.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. And then there's quite a few other things we do in the off season that, you want to like make sure you take advantage of these things. Like if you had a nagging injury throughout the year, you want to make sure that you target it. Like in our program, Lift Heavy Swing Fast, like it's not 100% custom to people. Like, and there's hundreds of people that do it. I don't write the program specifically for each individual person, because that costs more. I do that, but that's a totally different product that we offer. It's our elite player program. But so if someone's like doing our programs, like, I've really been struggling with golfer's elbow, or I have back pain, like when I play, or my shoulder hurts or something like that, there are exercises that come up in the program that help with that, with the mobility exercise I put in there. So I always encourage people, because they ask about this all the time, like, hey, I do have back pain. I had it at the end of the season. What should I do? Throughout the program, you're going to find exercises that make you feel better, and you can do them again. Like, like take a note of them.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, they're like, hey, this exercise really worked for me. Should I do anything else? I was like, and it's always the funny question, or I give like a funny answer, and it's, why don't you just do more of that exercise?
Yeah.
Why do you got to do something different?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. That one worked for you. Perfect. Use it. Do it again. Do it. If it's a mobility exercise, do it a couple times a week. It ain't going to hurt you. Like, it's only going to help. Chances are you're not going to overdo it. If you're going to overdo like power exercise, like if you want to do, you got to be more strategic with your strength and power movements and conditioning and manage your fatigue again. But a mobility exercise, you could do it every day if you really want to. If it's really helping you, and if it's going to eliminate that injury that you've had, then boom, you found it.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like if it's one that you like, and that's another thing with like giving people kind of things that they enjoy to do because they're more likely to do it. If you give someone a mobility exercise that they despise, and it's going to be not done.
Yeah.
So.
And another thing we do in the off season is we do this in season and off season is focus on tempo. It's just different tempos in the off season, right? Like during in season, we want the tempo to be fast. Like we want to move the weights fast, we want to move the barbell fast, we want to do other things fast, like in our workouts. And then we still do some of that in off season as well. There's still jumps, there's still sprinting, again, like building the capacity for those things. But when we do like a back squat, for example, instead of making it fast, we're going to make it slow. We're going to focus on the eccentric portion. We're going to focus on the isometric portion. So the eccentric is like the lowering down of a squat. So if you think about going from the top and slowly coming down to the bottom, that's the eccentric. That actually does cause more soreness. So like we don't really do a ton of that in season, but it helps build up a lot of strength, builds mobility because you're lengthening the muscle, you're challenging it through its full range of motion and loading it. You're adding weight to the bar or whatever. And then like isometrics where we're holding at the bottom. I just started experimenting with 1 1/4 lifts where you go down and then you do a quarter on the way back up. You've been doing those too. They're fun. They get you that little pump, that some people may
I like
enjoy
them because I feel so fatigued from going heavy, as we just discussed like 7 times. I've brought that up in this podcast. Whatever. Everyone's like, you're a weak little bitch. I don't care. Like,
you're not.
Like lifting heavy is like.
You are definitely not weak.
Okay. Thank you for that. I feel it. But 1 1/4 is cool because you can like go lighter. You go actually quite a bit lighter, I think, than what you normally would. But man, it's like it's fatiguing and like challenging in a different kind of way. Because again, sometimes lifting like super heavy can just be like even like a little like freaky and scary. But like when you can kind of, it's not. By 1 1/4 is a little misleading. I think it sounds like it's 25% more work when it's like double. Because if it might even be like 3x. Because if you think about like your time under tension, it's not 25% more. It's definitely double, but it might be more than that. Because by the time you're like going up and down, it's like there's a lot happening. Mm-hmm. Anybody that like hasn't done this, like do an air squat, go to the bottom, come up a couple inches, go back down, and then stand up. Like it's a lot more work. So when you have like weight, it's just a lot more work. But I really enjoy that stuff because I actually think that's kind of a muscle endurance-y type of a thing. I like time under tension. I always have.
And and then we can take it to make it related to golf too, right? Like if you're doing like a deadlift where you're in that quarter position and you got to do it twice, that's your golf posture. If you're in a squat, that's like a lengthened position. It's like where we want to be strong and stable to help in our swing. Just at the end of a row or something, we're building that strength in that range that we use in our swing. So you can just make it carry over to golf too. But
I thought you were gonna like talk about someone's like weird ticks and waggles at the beginning of their swing. That's like doing all. I'm like,
maybe. So yeah, now if our players are out there, in the summer and they're out there
like
playing
all these like things before they swing, I'm like, oh, okay, they must do lift heavy, swing fast. Yep, they're doing their quarter squats.
And we're also doing, because they're, again, like the people that do lift heavy, swing fast, that do my programming, the majority of them are our normal people, and people also care about their body composition. Like that's just a thing. People want to look good too. And I do like the 1 1/4s. They do give you that little pump. It's more time under tension. It's going to build some muscle. It's going to help you, with your body composition too. So I also like that part of it as well. And we've been adding in rest pause sets. So a rest pause set is where you just rack up the weight for about 20 to 30 seconds. Then you grab it and you rep it out again until technical failure. And I've had to explain that to a few people, like technical failure, like I don't necessarily want you to go to failure where things start to hurt. We're going to call that technical failure, right? Like hip thrust, for example, has came up. If all of a sudden, like you're doing this hip thrust and you're doing the rest pause set, and no longer do you feel like your glutes working anymore, it's my low back's on fire.
Yeah.
We're going to call that technical failure. It's time to stop.
That's how it happened for me. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's your body. Your body's going to be able to, especially when you're doing like something like a hip thrust where you're stable on the ground, like your body is going to be able to like tap into a lot more muscle groups pretty easily. Like again, like a bicep curl, single joint, you're like basically just going to wear out your bicep, whatever. But like with a fucking hip thrust, your body's going to be like back, lats, like who knows? Like it can kind of tap into like whatever back there.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the deadlift ones this morning and same thing. Like I could have kept going forever, but I'm like, I don't feel this in my hamstrings and my glutes anymore. Like I'm feeling it like everywhere else. I got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing light ones, but it's like so, dude, 1.25 deadlifts, I think is the hardest one. Well, bench press is the hardest one for me, but like 1.25 deadlifts is just exhausting for the whole body.
Yeah. And I mean, and there's a mental element to it too, right? And you're the most mentally tough person I've ever met in my life, but
not anymore in the gym.
But
I literally take squat hug breaks in between sets.
Yeah, you do. Like it's they come out there and they get in the gym and they just kind of roll around and play on the floor and stuff. But it's a great life.
It is so much better than I did not really enjoy going into the gym, to be honest. Like for people that are out there in their commercial gyms living their best life, like good for you. But like I really like to just be in my own outfit, my own stuff. I can do what I want, wear what I want. Not that I don't wear what I want when I'm out, but I can be like half naked as much as I want with my dog in the gym.
I won't say anything about half naked in our gym. There might be children listening to this.
It's my own home gym. Like it doesn't matter. And I hope that other people enjoy their home gym too.
I mean,
in whatever way that means for them.
Yeah. And I had one, and so Lift Heavy Swing Fast is obviously our subscription program. It just follows the golf season. So right now we are doing these 1.25 reps. We are in the off season training. So there are people that are in the program that may have like a cool event coming up. And so you can just manage it a little bit. You don't need to be like, okay, hang on, I have this one thing that's coming up all off season. I need to do in-season training the whole time because I want to manage my fatigue and my soreness and things. Again, all it is just it's more reps and sets. So all you got to do is just less. If I program 12 reps, do 6. So like the athletes in our program. And then that's what's great about our program is people have the ability to like chat and things like that with me. So they can just ask, and I just tell them, hey, just shorten up the sets this week or cut down on the reps. You'll be fine.
And we always typically program like 3 main workouts a week. And that's like for that reason too. Again, recovery, but also like flexibility and for most people, like that's a sweet spot. We obviously have like zone 2 days and mobility days and all that stuff too, like in between, but if you need to bang out like 1 or 2 in a row, like 2 days in a row, and then take a rest day and then work out another day, and like because you want to have like a nice long open weekend or whatever, I just feel like that's so important in most people's that have lives, which we all do, like to be able to kind of accommodate their schedule. So same thing, like maybe for the person that prefers more rest before they go out and play, maybe they want to take an extra rest day in between before going out for the weekend or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or for the people that don't, they want to train the morning of. You were just talking about that the other day. Everybody is different in terms of like when they want to train and play. Some people crush a workout in the morning and then they want to play right after that or whatever, or play later that afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were talking about this when we were walking the other day that, it was a nice like December day yesterday. We were out going for a walk. It was like 60 something degrees. And when I look on my app, I played several rounds of golf last year, like in February. I don't know if I played any in January, but played some golf in February. So just because all of a sudden you get like this nice break, if you want to like kind of tone it down a little bit and go play, I actually play great being, from doing a full workout. I don't even change them.
Yeah.
And we usually work out in the morning and I'll play golf after. I'll work out and then go play immediately after. I'll eat or something first, and I feel great. So it's definitely like trial and error. People just need to try it. Don't be like turned off by that it says off season and you're down in South Florida. It's not the end all be all like, oh, just because it says off season, I can't do it until I have it off season at some point in my life.
Totally. 100%. At the end of the day, we're periodizing. Listen to your body. This is throughout all seasons. Every single week you should be kind of tuning into what you need in terms of like your schedule and how hard you're training. But
yeah, we got to, I do love hearing those rest days. Like intensity is just something I feel like I see people miss all the time. Especially if you come from, and I don't mean to sit here and just bang on other programs, but if you do like a bodybuilding workout and it's chest day, by the end of the workout, yeah, your chest is going to feel tired because you probably did hundreds of reps of chest exercises. Mm-hmm. You don't even really have to give it intensity because if you do that many chest exercises or that many reps of chest exercises, of course you're going to feel tired by the end of it. So when people switch into total body training, they have to make sure that, hey, there may only be like one upper body pushing exercise in this workout today. There may only be one chest exercise. It may not even be a chest exercise. The upper body pushing, may be overhead. It may not even hit your chest. And you're going to have to hit that pretty hard, right? Don't just expect when you go from these other programs that by the end of it, you worked out that muscle just because you hit it 150 times. We may only do 30 reps of shoulders for this whole workout, maybe even less. We might do 15. So intensity is key.
Intensity is key. That's Cody's favorite thing.
Intensity, recovery, and nutrition, the things I see people miss all the time. Some people miss one, some people miss two. A lot of people miss all three, unfortunately.
We promise you don't need a supplement to fix yourself.
No.
I think that's my theme of this lately. I feel like supplements kind of come up around like the holidays because I think things go on sale and stuff. Like so people are like ready to go buy stuff. I don't want to make this episode about that. We're truly like wrapping up today's episode, but yes, what you said: intensity, recovery, nutrition.
And then for those of you that don't want to do off season at all, we do have an in-season program too. Like if after all that is said and done, if you're just like, no, I'm not doing off season, I want in season. We have plenty
of people though that do it like another style of workout or like, I mean, God, you got to think we have so many different types of clients and people, but it's like some people are like, dude, I'm skiing this time of year, like literally like whatever their sport of choice is, mountain biking. We have people that do all the things, and so
that's true.
Yeah, like fuck, if you have a winter sport and you're out doing that, like, and you're not necessarily like wanting to do a program, that's the point of like why we have different offerings and the things. So just wanted to stress that point. I think people get so tied up into like overthinking what's best for me, what should I be doing, what days a week, all the things, and it's like, hopefully this episode gave some like clarity on just it's not as like strict and rigid as you think it needs to be. It's important that we're doing the right movements. It's important that we're periodizing and doing different things throughout the year. But like, generally speaking, like that's it.
Yep.
Be consistent.
One more thing before I forget. In the off season, if you are living somewhere where you cannot play golf at all and you don't go to like an indoor simulator, you still should find a place to swing your golf club. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to hit a ball. If we are building up the capacity to swing faster, go find a place, maybe go get outside for a few minutes. It might be cold. Maybe do it right after your workout when you're warm. Grab your driver, swing, do some warm-up swings, swing a few really hard so that way we can build speed and all that kind of stuff in the off-season. So don't forget to also swing your golf club in the off-season. Yeah, it's important.
Great. Hopefully nobody tuned out before that very last important thing.
Yeah, that was like pretty important.
We'll have to make sure there's a solid teaser at the beginning of this or in our like heading.
Yeah.
So that people listen all the way to the end.
Wait till the end for the most important tip.
Yeah, well, this is your lesson to listen to the whole fucking podcast.
That's right.
You'll miss out. On that note, I think we wrap it up.
I think we do too.
Okay,
what do you think, Swat? You done?
He's chilled today. He's chilling. It's Friday. Guys, we are so glad to be back. LiftHeavySwingFast.com for all the things, our programs, our podcasts, our YouTubes, our blogs. It is all there. We will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.